It's the twist nobody saw coming. Just when many thought the trail had gone cold in the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, investigators have quietly uncovered 3 massive new clues, each one rewriting what we thought we knew. These discoveries don't just fill in the blanks. They actually resolve some of the biggest inconsistencies that have haunted this case for months. And tonight, we're breaking it all down, from the mysterious vehicle seen in the dead of night, to a strange recording found on a USB drive, and the one search result that changed everything. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might finally connect the dots in the most puzzling missing child case in Nova Scotia's history. It starts with sound, faint, distant, and easy to dismiss on an ordinary night. But in the quiet community of Lansdowne Station, where life slows after dusk and the roads empty early, that sound stood out. Neighbors living near the Sullivan home recall hearing it in the early hours of May 2nd. The morning 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack were reported missing. It wasn't just one person's imagination. Several residents told police they heard a vehicle coming and going multiple times, its engine echoing off the trees that line Gairloch Road. At first, investigators logged the reports as routine, perhaps a passing car, a search volunteer, or someone commuting before dawn. But newly released court documents have changed that perception entirely. Those files reveal that 2 separate neighbors, living on opposite ends of the same road, described nearly identical details. The low rumble of an engine starting, the brief sweep of headlights cutting across the treetops, and the sound of tires crunching gravel as the vehicle drove away, only to return minutes later. Why does that matter? Because it establishes a crucial time window. Those late-night vehicle movements narrow the gap in the timeline that has puzzled investigators for months. It also provides a potential transport route, a path that may have been used to move something or someone under the cover of darkness. And here's where things start to align in ways that can't be ignored. The period when the children were last seen, a window that had been uncertain and conflicting, now coincides almost perfectly with the timing of that mysterious vehicle activity. What neighbors once thought were harmless sounds in the night might, in hindsight, mark the exact moment when the case shifted from a routine disappearance to something far more disturbing. That noise, that vehicle, and that narrow stretch of road may hold the key to understanding how Lily and Jack vanished. And if this is just the first clue, what comes next is bound to be even more unsettling. A few weeks after those haunting vehicle sightings, investigators were handed a piece of evidence no one expected. A small SanDisk USB drive, turned in by the children's mother herself. What seemed like an ordinary storage device quickly became a central focus of the investigation. On it was a single file, a video recording of a phone conversation involving a relative who allegedly claimed to know more about what really happened the night Lily and Jack disappeared. The RCMP have kept the contents of that recording sealed, but newly released court filings confirm that the discovery of the USB immediately sparked a fresh investigative angle. According to those documents, the conversation contained references to movements, messages, and timing that eerily aligned with the hours when neighbors heard a vehicle moving along Gairloch Road. Investigators reportedly noted that one of the voices in the call described specific events, engine sounds, phone notifications, and even a mention of headlights that closely matched what witnesses had already reported independently. That overlap is what makes this clue so significant. 2 completely separate sources, one from direct observation and another from private conversation, are now pointing to the same critical window of time, between 11:30 p.m. and just after midnight. It's no longer a loose theory. It's a timeline beginning to take solid form. Even more intriguing, investigators believe the USB data may help clarify several contradictions from the family's early statements. Inconsistencies that once seemed suspicious may now represent fragments of a misunderstood or intentionally shifted timeline. By aligning those fragments with the new evidence, detectives are finally seeing where gaps in the story might close. But just as the picture starts to come together, investigators say there's still one more lead, one final clue that could change everything. And this next discovery, according to multiple insiders, might be the one that finally blows the case wide open. In late September, the RCMP quietly returned to the search area, but this time they brought with them one of the most specialized resources in missing persons investigations, cadaver detection dogs. It was a somber development, one that signaled the investigation had shifted from hopeful recovery to a more grim but necessary phase. For several days, teams methodically searched the dense forest, roadside ditches, and winding riverbanks that surround Lansdowne Station. The dogs, trained to detect even trace scents of human decomposition, swept over every inch of terrain that had once been the heart of the initial search effort. When the results finally came back, they were negative. No confirmed scent detection, no biological trace, no sign of the children in those areas. To many, that sounded like a dead end, another painful disappointment in a case already defined by unanswered questions. But to investigators, the lack of detection was not a setback at all. In fact, it was a powerful clue. A negative result meant something definitive. The children were almost certainly not in the immediate vicinity, where everyone had been searching for months. It effectively ruled out several early theories, including the long-held idea that Lilly and Jack had simply wandered away and succumbed to the elements nearby. That explanation no longer fit. When combined with the earlier evidence, the vehicle footage and the deleted GPS data, a clearer, though chilling, hypothesis emerged. Investigators now believe the children may have been moved quickly from the area, likely before sunrise on May 2nd. That would explain the complete absence of scent trails, the silence of the detection dogs, and the lack of physical traces around the property. It isn't the closure anyone hoped for, but for the first time, investigators have something they haven't had in months: direction. The pieces are aligning, the timeline makes sense, and every new test result is bringing them closer to understanding what really happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. When you lay these three clues side by side, the vehicle movements, the USB recording, and the negative search results, a pattern begins to take shape, one that feels both revealing and unsettling. These aren't random fragments scattered across time. They connect. They don't contradict the older evidence gathered in May. Instead, they fill the gaps that have long left investigators and the public guessing. And that's what makes them so remarkable. For the first time since the disappearance, detectives can now line up three distinct layers of information. What witnesses heard in the early hours of May 2nd, what was said in that recorded phone conversation, and what was found, or notably not found, during the latest search operations. When these elements are mapped together, they form a timeline that finally makes sense. A coherent sequence where movement, communication, and the absence of physical traces all point toward the same conclusion. No, it doesn't solve the case, not yet, but it narrows the path forward to a single, critical question that investigators are now laser-focused on. Who was driving that vehicle? Every other detail now orbits around that one answer. If the person behind the wheel can be identified, it could unravel the mystery of what truly happened after dark on Gairloch Road. Investigators are reportedly poring over every scrap of digital evidence: GPS logs, tower pings, call histories, and enhanced surveillance stills, searching for the one link that ties driver, motive, and timing together. Because if that answer surfaces, if forensics or digital traces confirm what investigators suspect, this case will no longer sit in the realm of the unexplained. It will move swiftly and decisively from a missing persons mystery into a criminal investigation, and that could change everything overnight. Lilly and Jack have now been missing for nearly 6 long months, half a year marked by sleepless nights, unanswered questions, and a community caught between hope and heartbreak. Their smiling faces, once seen on school posters and family photos, are now etched into the hearts of people across Nova Scotia. They become symbols of loss, innocence, and the haunting weight of silence. Every candlelight vigil, every poster taped to the storefront, and every news update carries the same unspoken ache. Where are they? For months, confusion clouded the case. Theories rose and fell, leads appeared and vanished. But now, for the first time, that fog is beginning to lift. The discovery of 3 crucial clues: the mysterious vehicle caught on camera, the revealing USB recording, and the negative cadaver search, has offered something that's been missing since day one: clarity. Each clue on its own might seem small, but together they created a framework investigators can finally build upon, a timeline that fits, a direction that feels real. Police have confirmed that more forensic tests and digital analyses are still underway. Technicians are examining every byte of data, every soil sample, every frame of video that might connect the remaining dots. And as those results come in, detectives believe they're closing in on the truth, If those tests confirm what the evidence now suggests, this quiet, heartbreaking mystery could finally reach the breakthrough it so desperately deserves. Until then, one haunting question continues to linger. If someone deleted the truth that night, wiped data, erased tracks, and concealed evidence, can these 3 clues bring it back? The answer, investigators believe, is getting closer with every passing day.